As an Amazon associate, we earn from qualifying purchases. This podcast is supported by its listeners. If you choose to purchase something using links on our website, we may earn a commission. No books were warped, dog-eared, underlined with purple pen, eaten, cursed, cancelled, burned, or otherwise harmed in the making of this podcast. I'm Tom Tolkien, and this is the School Reading List, a podcast that recommends books you'll want your children to read and books you'll wish you'd read as a child. And to kick off episode 42 of the School Reading List podcast, let's rip open some book post. First up, A Sister Like You by Sarah Hagger-Holt. Starting secondary school, Ella and Ari do not know each other, and neither knows they share the same birth parents. A chance meeting at choir auditions changes that. Ari is ready to make space for their new relationship, but Ella holds back. Ari's laid-back dads and Ella's old-fashioned mum add to the tension. But when illness unsettles both households, this memorable dual narrative story turns towards questions of identity, belonging, and what defines a real sense of family. A brilliantly written, thought-provoking and uplifting read, A Sister Like You is ideal for Key Stage 3 book clubs. Nature is the Answer by Chris Packham. Aimed at 9 to 12-year-olds, Nature is the Answer tackles eco-anxiety and climate breakdown in a direct, thought-provoking and practical way. Chris Packham explains what eco-anxiety is, why it happens, and how it can be managed, combining climate facts with contemporary contributions from young people and specialists. Sections on activism, social media, and spotting misinformation sit alongside Packham's personal reflections from his work as a naturalist, with accessible illustrations by Connor Nolan throughout. This inspiring toolkit for action is highly recommended for Key Stage 2 libraries. Koroba, The Case of the Missing Kolo by Àlàbá Ònájìn. When Saidát's wooden money box goes missing just before breaking day, Koroba steps in to investigate. As she, Saidát, and Joba question suspects while helping at home and in the market, the case unfolds against the vibrant stilt houses, piers, canoes, and seafood sellers of Makoko, Nigeria. The impending Harvest Festival deadline gives this pacey, uplifting and immersive mystery graphic novel for 7 to 9-year-olds real momentum. Highly recommended. A Holiday for Bear by Duncan Beedie. Tired of the same old forest routine, Bear heads to the beach on Frog's advice and determinedly gives seaside life a try with a fun picnic, volleyball, and a relaxing float in the water. But then homesickness creeps in. This captivating picture book for preschoolers uses a simple holiday plot to deftly explore change, friendship, and the pull between enjoying somewhere new and missing home. An excellent story for nursery discussion. Hug Want Ugg by Nancy Leschnikoff. Ugg wants a hug, but the grumpy toad, the squirting flower, and the saber-toothed tiger all say no. As he stomps through his prehistoric world, the story turns that repeated question into a clear introduction to consent for 2+-year-olds. With bold colours and short expressive text, it works well for shared reading and opens up simple discussion about boundaries, comfort, and asking before touching. It's ideal to read, share, and discuss with preschoolers. Seahorse is Furious by Morag Hood. When Seahorse wakes in a bad mood, he stubs his tail and only gets angrier as the day goes on. Other sea creatures offer hugs, stories, and snacks, but nothing improves his mood. This clever, funny, and poignant repetition gives the outstanding picture book for 3+-year-olds an addictive read-aloud rhythm, while Morag Hood's graphic underwater scenes make empathising with Seahorse's feelings accessible to preschool and EYFS children. It's a useful picture book to talk with young children about bad moods, frustration, and what helps. Highly recommended. Marcie and the Giraffe by Kim Gregory. Marcie is pleased with the portrait she paints of Giraffe, until she sees the one he's painted of her, and everything unravels. She tears up her picture and pours raw feelings into scribbly drawings of her brain, stomach, face and shaky legs, which Giraffe then uses as the starting point for his own response. Kim Gregory's bold colour artwork echoes children's own paintings, giving this vibrant picture book for 3 to 6-year-olds a highly relatable and accessible introduction to discussing feelings, art, and how we compare ourselves to others. Highly recommended. I'm Going to Make a Friend by Darren, Chetty and Sandhya Prabhat. Starting a new school can feel huge, especially when you're wondering what it takes to make a friend. This gentle, thoughtful and genuinely useful story for 3 to 6-year-olds follows one child's hopes, worries and quiet questions about sharing, boundaries and what it means to connect. As they build a cardboard companion, their imagination and emotions unfold in parallel, offering a subtle take on identity, play and early friendship. It's a lovely, understated reflection on change and finding your people, whoever they might be. Highly recommended for EYFS and Key Stage 1, and now out in paperback. The Ice Cream Crocodile by Mariesa Dulak and Rebecca Cobb. Elvis wants to perform in the circus, but Sydney the penguin only lets fluffy and feathery animals into the ring. When the scaled animals stay behind the scenes, Elvis keeps practicing his ice cream act with his family behind him. Told in rhyme, the plot builds towards Elvis's chance to perform, and the lively circus illustrations give infants plenty to look at, including the delicious ice cream flavours. It's a clever yet gentle picture book story for 3 to 6-year-olds to prompt discussion about prejudice and inclusion. Highly recommended. Go Go Dodo by Hugh Lewis-Jones, illustrated by Fred Blunt. Go Go Dodo is a playful adventure about a clueless dodo wandering through the jungle, swamp and sea, completely unaware that a tiger is quietly tailing him. Animal antics keep things interesting, and the lively mix of words and pictures means readers get to see both sides of the chase. Jones, who's known for books on explorers and maps, brings plenty of charm and laughs to this cracking read-aloud picture book for 3 to 6-year-olds. Princess Pete by Zoey Allen and Frenci Sanna. Pete likes many things: red trousers, flowery dresses, makeup, mud, books, and imagined worlds with pegacorns and singing hedgehogs. Some days Pete wants to be a prince, some days a princess, and sometimes somewhere in between. This charming, jargon-free picture book for 3 to 7-year-olds shows how Pete's family and friends respond with warmth, love and acceptance. Frenci Sanna's clever illustrations use geometric shapes, trans flag colours and situations children will relate to, including immersive double-page spreads that explore how other people react and invite discussion about empathy. King School by Alexis Deacon. When a child is made king, the adults deal with the situation by setting up a king school, where the lessons begin with sitting still, keeping quiet and doing what the adults tell him to. But the child king refuses. Instead, he rewrites the rules, turns the town's routines upside down, and leads everyone into the wild. This clever picture book story invites 4+-year-olds to think critically about which routines are important, whether blind obedience to rules is a good thing, and what really matters in terms of knowledge and learning. Highly recommended. Mirabelle and the Enchanted Sea Globe by Harriet Muncaster. A week at the seaside gives Mirabelle time away with her family, along with one clear rule: no magic. But she breaks it almost at once. When she creates a sea creature for one night, the routine holiday quickly takes a different turn. Set against an exciting coastal backdrop, this instalment in the popular illustrated first chapter book series 5+-year-olds blends family rules, seaside scenes and magical mayhem. Highly recommended. Super Quester's Mission: Desert Danger by Paul Ian Cross, illustrated by Katerina Gasco. After finding a message in a bottle, Lily, Leo and Bee head back to Questland for a desert mission. With Arid the Sand Sprite and Skitter the Scarab Beetle, they try to stop Professor Vortek using an ancient spell to claim buried treasure. This unceasingly engaging illustrated STEM-driven book for 6 to 9-year-olds also includes puzzles, facts, activities, a map and a glossary, with links to Key Stage 1 and 2 learning. Highly recommended. All in the Mind by Jill Arbuthnot and Lauren Humphrey. Brains are introduced here as the fascinating control centre for movement, thought and personality, with clear and accessible explanations of neurons, synapses and the signals that travel around the body. This engaging book for inquisitive 7+-year-olds also looks at different kinds of brain wiring and at animals that manage without a brain at all. Short sections keep the information exciting, while puzzles in each section let children try out the ideas for themselves. Highly recommended for Key Stage 2 libraries. World of Sport by Lawrence Alexander and Violetta Noy. World of Sport explores over 100 sports from around the globe, detailing their origins, rules and significance. Covering everything from the first Olympic Games to modern extreme sports, this book is filled with bright illustrations and memorable facts. Ideal for children aged 8 to 12, it provides a comprehensive look at the diverse world of sports, promoting cultural understanding, physical activity and inclusivity. It's ideal for Key Stage 2 libraries. Ben Nuttall's Footy Factory by Ben Nuttall. Step-by-step sequences take 7 to 12-year-olds from basic freestyle football moves to harder tricks they can practice in the playground or try out in a game. Short and engaging sections show star players using the same skills on match day. It's ideal for Key Stage 2 classroom libraries. Ben Nuttall is a professional football freestyler, a social media record holder, and the main freestyle performer for Adidas and Manchester United. Nigel Baines provides the illustrations. Rise of the Goblin Queen by Francesco Beedie, illustrated by Stefano Tambellini. Rise of the Goblin Queen by Francesco Beedie, illustrated by Stefano Tambellini. Aldo's cat is no ordinary pet. Odin is the Norse god trapped in a cat's body. After returning from his sacrifice against the shadow wolves, he and Petra are drawn into a new battle with Hecate, the Goblin Queen, who believes Odin's power is hidden in Aldo's newborn brother Virci. Greek and Norse mythology, sorcery, battles and Stefano Tambellini's iconic black and white illustrations give this rollickingly good adventure sequel to My Cat is Called Odin plenty of energy. Perfect for 8+-year-olds who enjoy immersive and exciting myths. Dragon Flare by Jamie Hammond. Intrepid 8+-year-old readers are pulled headlong into the Wing Rider trials, where humans and dragons team up to solve puzzles inside a dangerous labyrinth. Flynn, an unlikely competitor, must rely on his dragon partner to stay ahead of rivals and avoid the traps closing in. Progress depends on readers helping to crack puzzles along the way. Illustrated by Jamie Hammond, this innovative, addictive and exciting interactive adventure blends humour, teamwork and action, with bravery and trust at the heart of the plot. Highly recommended for Key Stage 2. The Genie Game by Jordan Efoeko. When 13-year-old Valentine Adesanya follows a text about her missing sister, it leads her first to a boba shop, then into the mysterious and magical genie realm. In Los Angeles, 3 corporations control everything, using bottled genies to power a wish-based system. To get closer to the truth, Valentine enters the Genie Game, a contest where magic is banned, and starts following clues that connect the trio Trust to her sister's disappearance. In a looks-driven, populist and dystopian version of the world, the inspirational protagonist must fight a world where dreams can be hijacked and exploited. It's a diverse, thought-provoking and fast-paced thriller for 9+-year-olds. Highly recommended. The Ministry of Manners by David Solomons. Under the Ministry of Manners, politeness is law, and one wrong word can bring punishment. Alfie survives by keeping his head down, but Margot just will not play along. When she's taken to the Manners retreat, she tries desperately to survive inside a system built to control speech, while Alfie is drawn towards the rebellious unsilenced. Will they succeed in fighting back before the dystopian ministry moves to crush resistance for good? David Solomons has come up with a distinctive, highly original and fascinating middle-grade novel. The perfect book for upper key stage 2 book clubs, The Ministry of Manners will provoke lots of high-quality critical thinking and discussion in Year 6 classes. Highly recommended. Dragonborn 2: The Twilight Child by Struan Murray. Alex arrives in Dundarak, a city where humans and dragons still stand side by side against a long-dormant threat. With Drac Midna stirring and the alliance beginning to fracture, she must master her own dragon abilities and trust that her mother can help keep the city from falling apart. Familiar faces return, new enemies emerge, and this sensational next chapter of the Dragonborn series dramatically raises the stakes for everyone involved. Perfect for adventure fantasy fans in Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3. Max and Ella Stuck Together by Christina Rahim. Max is bruised by bullying at secondary school, and his confidence in music has taken a hit, which is awkward timing with a charity concert coming up. He starts thinking about meeting Hari, his donor parent, but Ella, Hari's daughter, is not thrilled, especially with her mum abroad and her best friend moving schools. When Max turns up at Ella's family weekend anyway, the first meeting lands hard and nothing feels simple afterwards. A poignant, thought-provoking read for 9 to 12-year-olds, it's one that's perfect for book club discussion. Highly recommended. Like a Brother by Nathaniel Lesaw. Awais thinks summer is sorted until his teacher puts him on an art course and his cousin Abbas arrives to stay. Sharing a room is bad enough, but Abbas takes the bed, insists the Arsenal poster comes down, and leaves Awais on the floor mattress. With the 2 Year 9 boys clashing from the start, Nathaniel Lesaw deftly uses the comedy to dig into family, identity, and authentic male friendship dynamics, with clever jokes and puns that work on multiple levels. Like a Brother will appeal to many different audiences and is an ideal, accessible yet edgy read for 11+-year-olds in Key Stage 3. Your Murder Next by Ravina Garon. When Myra arrives in Grayton after her parents inherit a house and a business, she quickly fixes on one goal at her new school, getting onto the newspaper run by Scarlett. Then Scarlett is found dead in her parents' restaurant, locked inside the walk-in chiller. Convinced it was murder, Myra starts getting close to Scarlett's friends to find out what happened, until a boy in the woods points a gun at her and claims he's already found the killer. It's a mesmerising murder mystery story dripping with suspense and bursting with highly original twists. 12-plus-year-olds in Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4 will love it. The Faraway Inn by Sarah Beth Durst. When Kalisa arrives at her great-aunt's Vermont's bed and breakfast, she is expecting charm, but finds a sagging porch, a garden gone wild, and an older relative who doesn't want her there. She stays, starts repairing what she can, and begins to realise the guests are not quite what they seem. And when Auntie Z suddenly disappears, Kalisa and the groundskeeper's son are left desperately trying to keep the inn running in this warm-hearted guilty pleasure novel. The Faraway Inn is the breathtaking definition of cosy yet addictive teen romantasy, and it's bound to be a popular read for 12-plus-year-olds this summer. Stormbringer by Tig Wallace. Supernatural storms are tearing the world apart, and society is split between magic and science. When Emilio uncovers a power he didn't know he had, he's pulled into a dangerous quest to bring rival provinces together. With Paige and Vintain, he faces an apocalyptic storm that could change everything. This powerful and distinctive teen romantasy adventure for 14-plus-year-olds explores survival, divided loyalties and risky choices. Highly recommended. Siyun and Dean, unscripted by Sujin Witherspoon. When Siyun enters the reality TV reboot of Forest Feud for a massive cash prize, she cannot anticipate how quickly the show will become more than a survival contest. After she forms an alliance with Dean Parker, producers push them into a couple storyline for ratings, even though only one contestant can win. Alternating viewpoints and confessional-style transcripts drive this reality TV drama built on issues of trust, pressure, spin and rivalry. It's perfect for 14-plus-year-olds to read in one sitting. Thank you to all the publishers and publicists for sending us books to review here on this podcast and on our website schoolreadinglist.co.uk. Here's our rundown of great new children's books hitting the shelves this June. The Children of Wolf Rock by Natasha Ferrant. Wild Heart by Beck Manser. 6 Weeks by Matt Goodfellow. Strike by Mitch Johnson. Shadow Reaper by Lynette Noni. Bonehead, Guardian of the Underworld by Jamie Gregory. The Game Changers by Helen Rutter. How to Train Your Dragon School, Flight of the Flame Strike by Cressida Cowell. Transcendent Forgotten Earth by Patrick Gallagher. Dave, Don't Give Up by Olaf Falafel. The Other Naughts, a laugh-out-loud Greek adventure by Claire Pollard. A Flood of Memories by Nadia Mikhail. The Blue Tomato by Amber Au. Marvelucen by Claire Asher. She's a Knockout by Brittany Brewer. Coterie of Liars by Kate Weston. Winners and Liars by Alima Omatoni. Tales of the Cobb Street Commandos by Tony Bradman. I Knew You Were Trouble by J.L. Simmons. Libertad by Cassandra James. Again, Said Rabbit by Marjoke Henricks. A Holiday for Bear by Duncan Beedie. What a Night by Guillerme Karsten. Survive in Time by Dave Rear. Death Before Detention by Alison Weatherby. Just Another Dead Boy by Kelly McCrawcrane. I Rock by Owen McLaughlin. The Silver Kingdom by Radia Hafisa. The Boy, the Father and the Bear by Per Gustafsson. The Old Man and the Penguin by Julie Avery. And our picture book of the month is Bart is Different by Baru. Our non-fiction book of the month is Pop-Up Dinosaurium by Chris Warmell. And our fiction book of the month is Lily Tripp by Amelia Tate. Bookety book, let's get reading. If you're a teacher, librarian or avid bookworm who loves children's or YA books and you'd like to review brand new titles for the school reading list, get in touch by email. We'd love to hear from you. The address is reviews@schoolreadinglist.co.uk. And now here are some titles from one of our latest book lists, books to support International Transgender Day of Visibility. Too Bright to See by Kyle Luckoff. It's the summer before middle school and Bug's best friend Moira has a plan. Makeovers, nail polish and new clothes. But Bug is not interested. The house in rural Vermont is haunted, always has been, and something has shifted. A new ghost is leaving messages, and they're meant for Bug specifically. Kyle Luckoff wraps a rollercoaster transgender coming-of-age story for 10-plus-year-olds inside a deliciously ghostly narrative, and the two threads pull on each other throughout. Jamie by L.D. Lipinski. Jamie Rambo is 11, non-binary and happy, until disastrous news arrives that secondary school will split their friendship group in two. The local schools are single-sex, and nobody has thought about where Jamie fits. So Jamie decides to force them to think about it. L.D. Lipinski builds this uplifting and joyous story for 9-plus-year-olds around a dramatic rooftop protest, a tight-knit trio of friends, and the pertinent question of what happens when a system simply hasn't accounted for you. A glossary of non-binary terminology sits between the chapters. Highly recommended. Melissa by Alex Gino. When her class announces a production of Charlotte's Web, George wants the part of Charlotte more than anything. Her teacher says no because George is a boy. What the teacher doesn't know is that George is a girl named Melissa. With her best friend Kelly, Melissa sets in motion a plan to play Charlotte and to let people see who she really is. Alex Gino tells the story in just 126 highly engaging and accessible pages, and this Stonewall award-winning debut is perfect for 9-plus-year-olds. Dear Mothman by Robin Gow. When Noah's best friend Lewis is killed in a tragic accident, he feels as if he's lost the only person who knows him as a trans boy. Reminiscing about Lewis's fantasy stories about cryptids, Noah finds solace in writing letters to Mothman and, over time, feels compelled to find out if Mothman really exists. This memorable and indescribably powerful book for 11-plus-year-olds will be quite unlike anything else you've read. Nothing Ever Happens Here by Sarah Hagger-Holt. 12-year-old Izzy Palmer's world changes when her father transitions to become Danielle. Set in the small town of Littlehaven, the story explores Izzy's fears and uncertainties about her family's future and what other people will think. Addressing themes of identity and acceptance, Nothing Ever Happens Here offers a sensitive portrayal of family dynamics and trans issues, featured in our LGBTQIA+ books list. Felix Ever After by Cake and Calendar. teen Felix Love allows us an unfiltered peek into his world of angst, romantic longing and bullying as he reaches a realisation that he might never find the love he craves. With complex themes of transphobia, racism, destructive relationships and self-discovery, this modern coming-of-age novel is perfect for book club discussion with Year 11 to 13 students. Not only is this a sharply framed and beautifully written contemporary teen novel, but it's one that may well become a period benchmark for future generations. Gracefully Grayson by Amy Polonsky. Grayson has kept the same secret for years. She's a girl. In 6th grade, when the school announces a production of a Greek myth and the female lead is up for grabs, Grayson puts her hand up. The decision draws controversy from classmates and adults alike, but it also brings an unexpected friendship and an empathetic teacher who listens. Amy Polonsky lights up the story in first person, sidestepping gendered pronouns until Grayson is ready to claim them. It's a compelling and heartwarming novel for secondary school-age students exploring questions of identity. Trans Teen Survival Guide by Owl and Fox Fisher. Owl and Fox Fisher give practical guidance for trans and non-binary teenagers and for the adults supporting them. This highly informative book covers coming out, names, pronouns, school, clothes, binding, packing, relationships, sex, self-care, dysphoria, depression, and hormone options. Clear headings and short sections make the material easy to navigate, while personal accounts show how different situations can feel in real life and what support can help. A useful book to have in your Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4 libraries. Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas. Yadriel is a trans teen brujo whose family's magic is tied to gender, and whose father won't allow him to be blessed by Lady Death because he was assigned female at birth. Determined to prove himself, Yadriel performs the ritual in secret with his cousin Mariesa, then sets out to summon the ghosts of a murdered family member. But the ghost he gets is Julian Diaz, the school's so-called bad boy who refuses to move on until he has answers. Aidan Thomas builds a Latinx supernatural world around a trans protagonist whose identity is central to the plot. It's a compelling and memorable read for 14-plus-year-olds. The 57 Bus by Dashka Slater. On the 4th of November 2013, Sasha, a white agender teen from a private school in Oakland, fell asleep on the bus home in a gauzy white skirt. Richard, a black teenager from a rougher part of the city, boarded with friends. On impulse, he held a lighter to Sasha's skirt. Dashka Slater, who first covered the story for the New York Times Magazine, reconstructs both teenagers' lives in 4 short and sharp parts: Sasha, Richard, the fire, and its aftermath. The book explores gender identity, racial division, the criminal justice system, and restorative justice. It's a stunning and important work of narrative non-fiction for 14-plus-year-olds. Hell Followed Withers by Andrew Joseph White. Benji is a 16-year-old trans boy on the run from a fundamentalist cult that's infected him with a dangerous bioweapon. Taken in by a shadowy group of teens called the ALC, will Benji be able to stop the bioweapon from turning him into a mutant monster, and can he trust the leader of the ALC? This fascinating queer thriller was voted a New York Public Library Best Book. The Art of Being Normal by Lisa Williamson. At Eden Park School, 2 students carry secrets they're desperate to hide. David identifies as a girl, but only his closest friends know the truth. Leo, the new boy in Year 11, wants nothing more than to keep a low profile. When a fight throws them together, an unlikely friendship begins to form. Lisa Williamson's spectacular and pertinent debut novel places gender identity and adolescence at its centre and handles both with care and sensitivity. It's a timely and thought-provoking read for 12-plus-year-olds, parents and educators alike. Highly recommended. Here's a selection of exciting new book tasters sent to us by new and self-published children's authors this month.
Every child has a voice. Sometimes they just need the right words to find it. My name is Tara Ellie, and my new book, Little Poets, A Poem a Day, is a gentle, joyful invitation into the world of poetry, one small poem at a time. It contains 365 fun prompts, one for every day of the year, to inspire children to explore their thoughts, their feelings, and the wonders of the world around them. Whether it's read at bedtime, shared in the classroom, or written in together as a daily ritual, Little Poets encourages children to dream, to reflect, and express themselves freely. It's available on Amazon at the moment, and my dream is that it will open the door to imagination, spark a love of words, and help a young voice discover its power, one poem a day.
My name is Dougie Wheat, and I'm here today to talk to you about a fantastic children's book. Bibble Bobble Wibble Wobble, written by Terence Begner out of love for his grandson Cameron, and with the aim of improving his grandson's speech development, is filled with engaging, rhyming and tongue-twisting vocabulary. It's a short story about a wibble-wobbling Bibble Bobble who goes to school and learns that although everyone's different, he can be his happiest around everyone else. You can really feel the fun printed in the page of this book, which tells a simple yet relatable story for kids to latch onto and enjoy. With an addition of bright illustrations and colouring pages at the end, this heartfelt tale is perfect for any school reading list. They say the best books are the ones written with a touch of personality and a touch of heart. Bibble Bobble certainly has those ingredients mixed in with relatable material. Already described as a children's favourite story on Amazon reviews, this bright and beneficial read can be found for sale on Amazon and Kindle. Keep wibble wobbling.
My dear Daronians, are you ready for a new adventure? Do you love mysteries, history, folklore, and the supernatural? If the answer is yes, then you need to read Durnhill by me, Chris Dewar. This is a reading for fun book aimed at Key Stage 2, middle grade and above readers, and promotes love and friendship between James and his new best friend Penny as they work together to unravel the clues that will lead them to the discovery of a century-old mystery. I wrote Durnhill for my own children, and it is intended to be a well-paced emotional read with relatable characters within a vivid setting. The language is accessible yet expressive and will encourage imagination while supporting vocabulary development. Goodread ratings are encouraging with comments such as entertaining, original, gripping, brilliant and highly recommended. Thank you for listening, Chris.
If you'd like to get in touch and leave a recorded shout-out about your upcoming self-published children's book, have a look at our podcast webpage for more details. How to ensure reading can be unlocked by things children and teens already love. Perhaps the strongest part of the National Year of Reading 2026 is not that it asks children to read more, schools have been doing that for decades. Its strength is that it starts somewhere more honest, with the things children and teenagers already care about. Go All In, led by the National Literacy Trust with the Department for Education, is built around the line, if you're into it, read into it. It asks children, families and schools to treat reading as a way into football, gaming, music, fashion, food, film, family life, science fiction, sports, hobbies, and whatever else already has a hold on a child's attention. That matters because the national picture is grim. The National Literacy Trust 2025 survey, based on 114,970 responses from children and young people aged 5 to 18, found that only 32.7% of 8 to 18-year-olds enjoyed reading in their free time. Only 18.7% read daily in their free time. These are not small dips. They are the lowest reading enjoyment figures recorded by the Trust in 20 years. The same report gives schools a practical way forward. Children were more likely to feel motivated to read when the material connected to a film or TV series they enjoyed, matched their interests or hobbies, or gave them freedom to choose. That is the evidence base behind Go All In. The campaign is not asking teachers to make reading compete with pupils' lives, it's asking them to make reading useful inside those lives. The teenage data makes this even sharper. In the National Literacy Trust 2026 report on teenage reading, based on more than 80,000 young people aged 11 to 16, the steepest falls in reading engagement happen in early adolescence. By 14 to 16, only 18.8% of boys said they enjoyed reading, compared with 37.7% of girls. The report also found that teenagers often still valued reading, but found it easy to lose the habit when schoolwork, screens, sports, fatigue and convenience took over. This is not a case for giving up on books, it's a case for making book discovery more intelligent. Book Trust's evidence summary on book choice says that allowing children to choose what they read strengthens motivation, especially when their preferences are respected. Choice gives children autonomy, lets them pick books that align with their interests and identities, and helps them build a sense of themselves as readers. The point is simple enough for any classroom. A child who has a reason to pick something up is more likely to start. The harder question is whether the children's and YA market is giving schools enough of the right starting points. Children's interests in 2026 are not neatly arranged by curriculum topic. Ofcom reports that 97% of 8 to 17-year-olds play online games and that 53% of those gamers have spent money in games. It also found confusion and regret around online spending. That points to reading opportunities far beyond Minecraft annuals or coding manuals, game design, online economies, persuasive design, scams, esports, storytelling, modding, digital safety, and how platforms make money. Sport is just as broad. ASA research with 11 to 17-year-olds found strong interest across men's and women's football, swimming, athletics, Formula One, boxing and basketball. On average, young people said they were really interested in 4 different sports, with friends and social media becoming more influential as children grow older. A school sports shelf built mainly from football biographies is not enough to hold that range of interest. Teenagers are also navigating money, friendships, mental health, jobs, online pressure and future plans. The government's Youth Matters summary draws on the voices of more than 14,000 young people in England aged 10 to 21, and up to 25 for those with SEND. It identifies concerns around mental health, money, safety, online life, friendship, belonging, support, and the lack of affordable places to spend time. These are obvious reading routes. practical money books, friendship guides, mental health titles, online safety explainers, careers books, apprenticeship guides, short teen fiction and non-fiction that treats young people's worries as real, rather than as an adult-led issue. There are gaps here, but they need to be described carefully. It's not true that UK publishing has no books on these topics. The problem is more often volume, speed, pitch and discoverability. There are books about gaming, sport, fashion, climate, money and online life, but not always enough at the right age, length, tone and reading level. There are books for older teens, but many younger teenagers sit awkwardly between middle grade and adult-facing young adult. There is accessible non-fiction, but too much of it still feels adult-approved before it feels child-wanted. There are also plenty of contemporary fiction titles that cover these high-demand areas through characters, settings and representation, but the blurbs and synopses don't always make it explicitly clear, and for many readers these titles dip under their radars. Representation also needs careful handling. The evidence does not prove that children have specifically asked for more representative pet stories, sport books or gaming novels, but it does show that many children struggle to find people like themselves in what they read. The National Literacy Trust's 2022 Diversity Survey, based on 48,672 children aged 8 to 18, found that 38.9% found it difficult to find books with characters or people like them, rising to 53.1% among children aged 8 to 11. The same proportion, 38.9%, agreed that reading about characters like them made them feel more confident. Inclusive Books for Children's 2025 Excluded Voices report then shows the supply problem for younger readers. Of 2,721 UK books for ages 1 to 9 published in 2024, only 5.9% had marginalised, neurodivergent, disabled or minoritised ethnic main characters. The evidence supports a representation gap, but it doesn't justify turning every gap into an identity lesson. Publishing's approach to representation needs to be more subtle, nuanced and rooted in what children and teens actually say they want to read. For schools, the answer is not to replace one approved canon with another. It's to build more roots in. A pupil who loves rugby can read match reports, biographies, fiction, sports science, injury recovery, nutrition, teamwork, history, and stories about pressure and belonging. A child who follows fashion can move from design books to sustainability, biography, craft, photography, magazines, and fiction. A gamer can read about world building, coding, online economies, scams, competition, narrative design, and virtual worlds. A teen drawn to romantasy can be guided towards folklore, gothic fiction, myth, court politics, power, consent, world building, and literary fantasy. School reading list genre work is useful because it starts from that practical classroom problem. What does a teacher or librarian put in front of the child who says they do not read, but talks endlessly about rugby, farming, fashion, combat sports, fishing, cricket, survival, bushcraft, religion, romantasy or manga? Its genre hub already includes interest-led pages for children and teens across sport, identity, belief, hobbies, genre fiction, non-fiction and cross-curricular topics. Recent focus group-led examples include rugby books for children and teens, romantasy books for teens, books about fashion, combat sport, fishing, farming, cricket and survival and bushcraft. That kind of curation based on genuine reported need has real value in schools, because teachers need fast, trusted routes from pupil interest to suitable reading. A generic read more campaign can fade quickly. A shelf display or book list built around what pupils actually discuss at break time has a much better chance of becoming part of school culture. The publishing challenge is just as clear. If Go All In is to work beyond the posters and assemblies, publishers need to commission closer to children's actual enthusiasms. More short, strong, affordable non-fiction for 8 to 14-year-olds. More real teen publishing for 12 to 15-year-olds. More sport beyond the obvious. More books on gaming as culture, business, art and safety. More media literacy and AI literacy written for children who already use the internet as a research tool. And more practical life skills publishing that speaks plainly about money, work, friendship, stress and independence. The best reading culture does not begin by asking children to abandon what they love. It begins by taking those interests seriously. Go All In gives schools a useful frame. Whatever a child is into can become a route into stories, facts, argument, explanation and imagination. The work now is to make those routes visible, current and easy to follow. If you'd like to get in touch, use the hashtag SRLpodcast on Twitter or drop us a line using the contact form or messaging button on our website schoolreadinglist.co.uk. And all the books lived happily ever after. The end.